But things just trickled through with my story, and it really was like one of those things where I really was deciding to live in my real life.
So welcome, Gigi, to the BossBabe podcast.
Oh my God, thanks for having me.
We are so excited, and I really want to kind of dive right in because I feel like podcasts are the place where you can really get to know somebody. And I want to start by saying, lots of people put the highlight reel on social media. They put out what they want the world to see. And what I love about you, and I feel I really admire, is that you have shared not only parts of your life that are the highlights, but also the challenging times. And I really want to understand what motivates you, inspires you, what frankly gives you the courage to not only share parts of your life, but also the parts around your sexuality and your transition experience.
Okay, that's loaded. I'm very excited we're diving right in. I have a podcast myself. It's called Queerified. And I always feel like I kind of have to zhuzh up the person.
Mission to go.
I know. I'm like, okay, can we just get into it? Because I am so intrigued. So thank you for that. Thank you for giving me that space too. But so I feel like I love a highlight reel. I totally get it. I understand when people are just like, I'm just going to show the best parts of my relationship, the best parts of my life, when I'm looking my best, my most edited photos. Like, I totally relate with that. I love that. I love looking great online, but it wasn't really until I started sharing my transition and being like, hey, I'm a trans girl. I really want to be called she. This is my new name. These are my pronouns. That I was like, okay, I can't really go through this process and make it look easy because it's not. It's not necessarily such a glamorous thing to go through. So when I started going through it and developing inside and really showing what was inside outside, where I like to call it my soul was seen, to other people, and people started referring to me as Gigi. I was welcomed in female spaces. I was, seeing the world a lot differently that I didn't really expect. I had to film those things. I had to show those things because I had people on the flip side coming to me being like, hey, I'm not going through this the same way that you're going through this, or these are my struggles. I'm a kind of person that believes that everybody has struggles in their life, no matter how great the highlight reel is, no matter how fabulous they look or make it seem that their life is. We all have struggles, and they're not to be compared. They're just different. So yeah, I just really feel like it was like just showing my life, showing my truth. I'm not claiming to be the expert or anything, but it's just one of those things that you just have to keep real. And that's just what I do.
I feel like you're kind of saying that, but also like really not acknowledging how amazing that actually is. I'm like, yeah, I just had to do this. I'm like, but that is like incredible to be able, like, I had this whole story around social media. Like, our listeners know I had Facebook, but I didn't really start on even Instagram until 2017, and I had so much imposter syndrome about even sharing the highlight reel. So for me, hearing that, and I'm like, wow, like I feel like you're even downplaying this, like the strength that takes. And I'm just like, was it those people that kept, like, was it the followers that you already had? Because obviously I know you were an early adopter to YouTube. Was it the followers that you already had and these people reaching out to you kept you motivated? Or was it all for was it for yourself or for them? I'm curious.
No, not all for myself. Not at all. No, I feel like if it was just for me, I would have really just like retreated. I would have been like, I'm an Aries Taurus cusp.
Wait, I love that we just got into horoscopes. This is perfect.
I'm so stubborn. Yeah, it's just, I'm the most stubborn person ever. I really am one of those people that it's like, if you tell me that I can't do something, I'll push like 20 times harder just because I want to prove you wrong. And I want to be like, stick my nose up at you and be like, I'm as stiff as a chip. Or what is it? Stick as a chip?
Stiff as a chip.
I love it, yes.
I really feel that way. So I feel like for me, it was really about going against the grain. Like I never really saw, back in the day, I never really saw videos on like trans girls or like what I needed to do. It was really all in my real life. When I went to New York City for the first time, I met this girl named Amanda Lepore, who is like this iconic, legendary trans girl. And I had known of her like from the internet and stuff like that. But when I met her, she was just so open to me. And she was like, if you want to do this, you can. Like nobody's gonna stop you. And I just was like, oh my God, like that was my light bulb moment. I'm like, what the hell? Like I can be trans, I can really express how I am inside. And that was my mission right then and there. I was like, I want to really take away the fear from being trans. Like I literally have met so many parents. I've met so many of my friends' friends who maybe were off put by me. You know, their child likes me and like wants to come meet me, or I'm at a party and my friends' friends are like, who is she? Like, we don't really like, you know, we don't really F with trans people. I really want to make it my mission to be like, trans people are people too. We're funny. We're real people. We have emotions, and like, you know, just see us as real people. And I think by sharing my story, I've done that. And that's, to go back to your question, I definitely did not think it was like just for me, because it was for my audience too. I wanted to really lay it all out there so I could be like, you know, this is our story. Sorry, I keep wanting to swear because that's...
Oh, you can swear. There's no rules on the podcast.
Okay, amazing. I never know. I wanted to be like, bitch, this is how it is. This is the realness of my transition. You know, like all the surgeries I've had, like just all of the family stuff. You know, my dad in my documentary, which is called This Is Everything, if anybody doesn't know, it really does, like, you know, look at my whole entire transition. So my dad was a really personal thing for that. And it was like, if we're not going to show that, then what are we going to show? You know, the highlight reel, not in this story. I'm sorry.
I love that. And I guess the way I meant when I was asking, like, you know, was it for you in the sense of like, did documenting it actually help you on the journey as well? You know, was it actually a very healing part of it? Or was it like, no, this is solely, you know, for other people? Oh,
healing for sure, beyond. I think seeing your life back, I mean, I'm sure you girls can relate as well, just from being in the game for a minute. Seeing things that you said like even a year ago, even like 6 months ago, it's like, it gives you a fresh perspective. It really opens up your eyes. So I feel like when I started my transition, I had already been on YouTube. I had been doing makeup and hair and lifestyle and stuff. But when I fully said I really am transgender, I was like, I'm gonna start filming like every day, because, and not really even uploading like all of it to YouTube, maybe like 50% I would share. But I was like, I really want to just keep this for me, because I want to look back and like show my kids, you know, look back in like a year, like even if it is like, you know, when we're just chilling at home with nothing to do, it's like, want to watch me when I got my surgery, or like want to watch like this moment in time. It's just cool to see you grow, even if it's as like silly as like, oh, what were we wearing back then? Or like, you know, like memories. It's like a visual scrapbook, and that's what I love.
And you just reminded me, actually, it's like my dad, like basically back in the early 90s, won a video camera. You know, when like it was like VCRs.
The camcorder?
And yeah, he won a camcorder, but it wasn't a small one, you guys. It was like, there's the BBC, the British Broadcasting, in the UK, and like if like you were filming, it was like this huge.
No, it wasn't one of
if
those.
you watch it on YouTube, you can imagine, right? It's this huge thing that he used to sit on his shoulder and film us as kids. And bear in mind, at this point, all camcorders were like this big, and my dad's filming us.
Like he could have got a better one.
He could have got a better one, but he was either tight or just loved that people would like stare at us. Yeah,
right.
And like, but now I'm like, we used to watch those films back as kids, and like it is like, and I think sometimes we've like lost sight of that. Like it was not, you know, nothing was going on social media at that point. It was for us and our memories. And I think you just like highlighting that, like I actually record it for some myself, and I wouldn't even put some of that stuff on. Like I actually want to get back into the habit of just creating memories for me versus like always to put on display. But you know, if I'm following you on your YouTube account as well, what I really think is really amazing is how you've really opened up the conversation. Like, you really make people comfortable in asking and being inquisitive to your journey. And like you say, when family members maybe have someone that close to them that's going through it, I think you've really helped that, you know, what was perhaps once a barrier to the conversation, I really feel like you've helped open that up so people can say, okay, how can I go about talking to my family with this? Or what is that journey even look like? And how can I do my own research? Because before, this was really hard. Imagine like when you started deciding, this was hard to find information, right?
Oh, 100%. And thank you for saying that. That was really sweet. I feel like it literally all happened so fast for me. Like I never really even thought like, oh, there's really nobody making these videos on YouTube, because before I knew it, like my life had picked up so much that I was really like, okay, so people ask me all the time, how am I so open? How am I so like willing to share stuff online? I feel like it kind of just blended the two. My real life, when I started figuring out who I was traveling a lot. And before I knew it, it was like, I knew I was trans. And then it was like, whoa, am I ready to tell everyone online?
What were the timelines in that?
I was 19. So it was 10 years ago. And I was like, wow, the moment I found out I was 19 and I was like, I really have to make this happen, but am I gonna let everybody know? And it was like, kind of like this really like intense, probably the most serious, other than my family, relationship that I had back then was to my subscribers, to my supporters. And it was like, how am I gonna break this to them? Because it felt like I had like lied to them for a while because I had told them, you know, I don't wanna be a girl. I'm really, that's not my life, it's whatever. But it was, turns out. So it was just one of those things where I just had to be like, okay, let's do this. And every single day I was learning something. It was never really like the same or easy. So I wasn't really thinking about what to share with my regular friends in real life, but I would vlog and I would, you know, kind of just live my life, as I like to say. And I don't want to downplay it, like you said earlier, but it really kind of was just like living my life, and whatever would be shared little by little would be shared little by little, and I would just like build upon it, if that makes sense.
No, it really does. It really makes sense. And I think that, you know, everyone has their own challenges or things that they're going through, and, you know, people are going to relate to that part in so many different ways. Like, it's just, you know, sometimes we start on this journey, like, everyone has these pieces in their life that actually, it's like, you know, for me, I can relate because mine was around my divorce. Like, I felt like I was lying to my community when I didn't tell them early enough, like not early enough, but I didn't tell people initially when I was like separated, because it was like, oh, I'm not
Did you like
ready
share
to,
the
like,
highlight reel and all that?
Yeah, I was like having to process. And I think that's like a really interesting balance for influencers, and when you're such an authentic person, like feeling like, hey, I want to share this, but also like I'm still really processing myself right now, and there's other people involved, and I need to be like, you know, careful of everyone's opinions and what this feels. So there's like, there's just so much weight on that. So, you know, when you share that part around, like, I can only imagine like the juggle of like all of those timelines coming together to actually get to the point where you're like, okay, now it's time to share this.
Right, and like as much as you think that it's strategic, and I mean, of course, when I came out or when I did anything big or major, it was strategic, right? It was like, okay, I'm gonna do this today, I'm gonna share this today, but so much would like, with something to do with a divorce, I mean, I can't relate, but I feel like that is something that is just very in the sand. When you say it, you say it. With a transition, little things trickle throughout, and people like pick up on it. I mean, I'm sure the same goes to a divorce as well. I mean, I don't know. People are very perceptive online.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's scary. So I actually, I don't know if I even stand by that statement. But things just trickled through with my story. And it really was like one of those things where I really was deciding to live in my real life and kind of put that on hold. So I wasn't really looking online for tips and guides. I didn't see any, you know, like when I was on YouTube right in the beginning, there really weren't that many influencers. Like that wasn't really a thing. It was like beauty girls I would follow. It wasn't really like people like, hi, I'm gay. Hi, I'm trans. You know, this is how I came out. Really none of that. It was like a few people, but nothing that I really learned from. So I feel like in the trans community at least. So yeah, I would just live my real life and be like, okay, I'm feeding off of these people. And Amanda Lepore, like I said, was such a huge role model to me, and meeting her and just having her say, like, you can do this, you can live your dreams. I did it. I know so many people that have done it, really was all I needed to hear.
Isn't it incredible to think how much you've changed millions of people's lives through saying, you know what, this isn't just for me anymore, I'm going to share it? Do you ever stop and think about that?
Literally all the time.
Yeah.
Do you guys?
Yeah, like every now and then it hits you when you get, probably the same with you, get certain DMs and you're like, wow.
Yes.
That's when it really hits you, and in the harder days you're like, this is why I'm doing it.
Yes, it's literally that. I feel that basically every single day, I feel, or like 5 times a week. I feel like it's just all about, like, sometimes it's words on a page, sometimes you really don't get into it, but once you really feel that, and it's at least once a day I feel that I'm like, wow, like, you know, it's so easy to go through the comments or go through people's feedback or whatever, ratings, reviews, and just be like, that one person really struck a nerve within me because they said something that I believed to be true, or I feel I was insecure about that day, right? But it's like, I guarantee that most of the time it's mostly positive. You know, it's people are there who fuck with you. And that's why the negative and the trolls online, it can be so dangerous for someone's mental health because it really is, you need to pay no mind to that. And I'm such an advocate for literally just stepping away if you need to step away and really like picking that one comment or that one message, DM, email, whatever it is, and like being like, you know, we made a difference in this person's life.
Yeah.
And that's what we're choosing to focus on.
And I love that you said, oh, that one comment got to me because I believe it to be true. And it's so true. Whenever someone's, you know, people can say the meanest things, but if you don't believe any of those things to be true, it doesn't necessarily affect you. But if you're insecure about something and someone points it out, that's where it really comes from.
Yes. And like us just being women, we are like naturally insecure creatures.
Yeah.
You know, some more than others. And like no matter how good your highlight reel is, no matter how fab you look, you can have those moments where you're like, shit, I feel terrible today.
Yeah.
And I need to be in front of the camera. It could be anything. It could be the littlest thing, you know? And it's all about just like overcoming that. And I feel like but that's what also gives you such a thick skin. Like over time, like I've been called every name in the book so many times, I can't even tell you. So it's like a lot of the time it's like, oh, well, that person's going through something, you know, because I'm not going on their page or on anyone's page for that matter, leaving nasty stuff. So you just got to put it into perspective, I feel. And that's kind of something that helps me do that.
Yeah.
I think that's like really true that, you know, people who troll are people who have going through their own pains. Like, you know, if you're going to go to someone's page specifically to write hate, you're not in a great mental place yourself, but it's still so awful and horrible to receive. And I'm just curious, like, I would love you to go in a bit more detail around like your mental strength with coping with that, because I know there's going to be people listening and they've experienced that. They're sharing something that's close to their heart. They're going, you know, through something an experience in their life that's not perhaps classed as the norm or is different, and then they get hate. And I mean, get hate for any reason online right now, like any reason under the sun.
So why do we even do this shit anymore?
Like, you know, it really is crazy. But like, what are some things that you've done over the years that really have helped you practice mental strength?
Okay, I think it really all is about like weighing out your life. Like I dealt with a parent who died way too early in my life. And I feel like for my life personally, I weigh that out. Like, is somebody calling me this, that, and the other online does it really compare to the pain and the hurt that I went through with that? And I think everybody has, to go back to what I said earlier, you can't really compare each other's struggles because you don't know someone's, you know, pain tolerance or wit or withstanding of like pressure or anything like that. So I personally just compare it to that, and I usually don't really even get affected by things like that really anymore. It takes me at a really, really weak moment because I have experienced such pain, and I think everybody has, right? Doesn't have to be a parent dying. It doesn't have to be a puppy dying. It doesn't have to be losing a job, whatever. Everybody goes through their own thing. So we're all really, really strong. And I think a lot of people are stronger than they give themselves credit for. Yeah. So you really just have to put it into perspective. And a lot of the time for me, mind over matter works really well. Like I just need to put things into perspective. And if you choose to be sad, you're going to be sad. But if you choose to be happy and really put energy into it, I know it's really hard. It's way easier said than done, but it is possible. And I think that people just need to put that to the test sometimes, because sometimes I listen to what I say and I'm like, it's impossible, you know, like I can't do this, but you really can. Like you really have all the tools, they're there, and you just need to really like put energy into it. Not to sound like so spiritual, but you really do it. It works.
I think intention is everything, you know. I think you're quite right with saying that. And yeah, it's not always easy, but at least if you have intention, you're partway there, and then you can work on the other aspects. So, you know, we've talked about some of like, you know, the challenging sides of social media, but I'm really curious, what are some of the messages that you've had that have really touched your heart that you're like, oh my God, this is like why I keep doing what I do? Is there like ones that have really stood out to you on your journey?
100%. I
Okay.
feel like the ones that I get literally almost every single day are, oh my God, you know, you made me realize that I was trans, or I showed my parents your documentary when they were so against the entire LGBTQIA plus community, and it's just been so hard for us. We watched your documentary and they've been better since. They've been better with my new name. They've been better with my pronouns. And that was the whole goal with my documentary. And my podcast, we take questions for people. So we literally get to answer to X, Y, and Z, the people. And that is literally so life-changing to me, because if I had those tools to show my dad when I first started transitioning, we would have saved so much time, girl. It would have been so much easier. I mean, he never really knew what trans was.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I said to my dad, he was like, I actually knew a trans person. I used to golf with him, but now he's her. And I was like, okay, that's an example, but it's not really in your life all the time, So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, so I'm going to be your first then, Dad, right? Like, we're really going to get to relearn each other. And just hearing that, being like, so my dad kind of came around after watching your documentary. It's like, I know how that feels. I literally have been in that same place, So anybody who really gets to like realize who they are or makes a big life decision, and like you kind of were along the way with them without even really knowing them face to face, is so powerful and will never get old to me. Like, that is beautiful, It's like the internet can be a very crazy, hateful place, very dark place, but it can also just be the most bright, beautiful place if you make it. And that's what I choose to do most days, and especially when I get those messages on my phone right here. It literally like just brings a tear to my eye, and it's like nothing else. It's surreal.
Yeah, I think it's just so beautiful, because like when someone's, having these, going through any change, to be able to have it almost like a resource, like it's there for a resource. They don't have to agonize over the words of explaining it during that time in their life. They can like use something like you've created that supports that, which is just making so many people's lives easier for the person who wants to transition, but also the family, to help them understand. So I think like, the fact that pieces like this are being created now, and that, like you say, were just not available. They weren't even being picked up by networks or anything like that.
Yeah.
And like now we're in, like, for all the things that social media gets criticized about, the ability to see different sides of opinions, to see that we might not all have the same feelings or ways that life can be, I think has just really helped society.
And also, to go back to what you were saying earlier a little bit, like seeing those documentaries or people that are just outspoken about their cause or their life in general, like with your divorce, like you said, like seeing that, people it makes it seem okay to people.
Yeah.
Like it's less scary.
Yeah.
And in my community, there's a lot of asking, what are your pronouns? You don't want to offend anybody. And I totally get that, like for anybody that's watching or listening with a trans or gay or non-binary child, it can be intimidating because you have to explain it to your friends. You have to kind of relearn that process, and it can be intimidating. Sometimes, like, I wouldn't even want to go out to eat because I would be like, well, the waiter's going to say the wrong thing to me, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and I'm going to be thinking about that the whole time, and it's not going to be enjoyable. Why would I go out to dinner? That's a hour or two that I could just be at home, safe in my space. And I want to just let people know that it is okay to ask. Like, I'm not like, the voice for the entire community, but I can say that it makes you feel so much better when you just ask somebody what they are or what they identify as, what their pronouns are. Like, it's in people's emails these days. My cousin is saying that everyone has to say their pronouns at school nowadays.
Yeah, I last dance class I went to, that was you had to go around and say your pronouns.
It's like the norm now,
Yeah.
right? So like even little things like that, it's like you can, even if you forget someone and you want to address them, be like, oh, so what are your pronouns again? Like, it's fine. Just don't do it in a malicious way. Like, don't be a bully, but it's okay to ask. And I think for a long time, my dad, his friends, my family, we're just really scared to mess up, and it really affected our communication. So it's okay to ask. You would think I have friends from all over the communities, every single letter in whatever, but I don't. Like, I have to ask too. Like, it's just being human. It's fine, like, you're gonna be fine. Just use your words, please. It's so much better than just assuming or just not saying it all.
I love that, and I'm so glad you've said that, because like, even for me, just hearing that, I'm like, oh, I was wondering, is it okay to ask? So it's so good to hear that.
And people want that, people coming out as non-binary, they're like, I want to be referred to as them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you're gonna get some questions, doing that, of course you're gonna get some questions, and they're open to it. They want to teach you. They want to tell you who they are. Who doesn't, Like, this is my name. Like, call me by my name.
Yeah, as long as they know that they're safe and they're not being judged.
Exactly. Because you could tell if it's in a malicious way,
Totally.
Like, you can tell. And I feel like also just having, like, people in the community's backs. Like, if you have a trans friend and they're, like, maybe new to transitioning, or they've expressed to you, like, this is my name, these are my pronouns, and your new friends, whatever, it is so important just to have their back at the end of the day, because sometimes you're not strong enough to. It's just like having a friend that's not trans, It's like, if they express to you one thing and someone refers to them as something else or whatever, you have their back, right? Like, as a friend. So if you get misgendered out in public, it's like, no, I'm sorry. That's actually a woman. Next, move on, keep it moving and keep it positive, and just no, like, confrontation or anything. And I feel like that's really easy for, like, allies to do.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about social media a little bit more, because you started your YouTube channel in 2008, which we've spoken about.
Yes.
And
that is crazy.
I know, it really is, right?
That's really early adoption.
It is.
What made you look at a video platform and be like, yeah, I'm gonna start my blog on here. Like, I'm just curious.
I
was super late to social media, so
Okay.
I'm always really intrigued by people who are like, yeah, I'm gonna jump on this. Particularly YouTube, because that's freaking intimidating.
It is. I mean, I was watching, like, makeup videos and stuff, and, like, I really was, well, at the time, I was a very, very bad little girl. I was stealing a lot from, like, the mall. I was building my own collection. So I would shoplift quite a bit, which was terrible. Obviously, don't anymore. If you're watching out there, please don't steal. It's just not cute. But I would really express myself that way. So when I saw people online doing that, I was like, oh my God. And, like, a lot of these girls were, like, from, like, Nashville, and they were, like, in high school. No one from Toronto, Canada, where I grew up. So I was like, wow, I really want to, like, be like them. Like, they would put on red lipstick. So I would get my red lipstick. Is that thunder?
Yes.
How lucky are we?
It just said it was about to rain.
This is gorgeous. We never
we're
get
getting
thunder.
cozy.
Wait, you're excited about this? I'm British. I'm
we
over
never get rain in
I
LA.
like it.
I know, but I like that.
I love a thunderstorm.
Well, right.
You do?
It's so cozy.
It's
and,
so
like,
rare.
I just wanna curl up.
That's because you've lived in America so long. I've only been here a year. I'm over.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm still like, oh no, it has to
Well,
rain.
90 degrees in October. Are you happy about that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I was ecstatic at the weekend.
We'll take a little thunderstorm.
No, I need jacket, boots, everything.
God.
You know what that was? That was God being angry that I was stealing.
Yep.
It's like, no, you don't.
No, I don't
Not
anymore.
again.
God, please. But still bring the rain. We love it. No, but as I was saying, so I would literally be like, I want to experiment with these girls, online. And, I had no idea that it would blossom into what it has now, launching a movie on the platform and really sharing my life. But back then it was so innocent, I grew up going to a Catholic high school, uniform every single day. I would change. I would buy, you guys know Aritzia?
Yeah.
The TNA yoga pants, super tight. I would get in trouble all the time for them because I would just wear the girls' uniform and all that. So I really needed another way to express myself. I was literally the only thing that really could be creative was my face, if you really think about it. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about that. I just wanted to be pretty. I was like, let me put on this mascara because my friends do it. And also I want to be pretty too.
Yeah.
So after I got out of high school and the uniform was in the past, thank God, I was still playing with it and I was still really curious about it. It wasn't just let's put on foundation to cover my skin and put on mascara. It was like, let's try this blue look. Let's try this out. And it really became this artistry thing. And I think that was kind of just fuel to keep making videos because there was always something new to do. And I was always a very creative kid. Like I would always spend after hours in my art class and I would always like skip gym.
So you started using it as like a creative outlet.
Definitely, 100%. And I was always like taking photos of myself and photos of my friends. Like we would have little photo shoots. So I was like, I already have a digital camera. Like we can just, and there was no, I mean, there were iPhones, but it was not cute enough to put online, like
So
the quality.
Were you intimidated by utilizing the camera and stuff at those points? Or were you like, oh, I'm just gonna give this a go? Because I also feel like in 2008, like YouTube was a bit more rough and ready. Like it was like,
It was.
kind of like shot.
You're right. You're right. I mean, I'm like kind of a perfectionist, so I would always need to be alone. You know, I would wait until my parents were out of the house. I grew up with two brothers, one older, one younger. So I'd be like, you guys have to stay upstairs. I wouldn't tell them because my YouTube was like a secret for a while. I'd always be in my bedroom or in another room, door closed, lighting on. And I would just do my thing and then wrap up really fast and then go to my computer. So it was a creative outlet, but it was also just like something like a hobby, like for me to do.
So how long did you keep it a secret for? And how many followers did you have or subscribers until they found out?
I don't actually remember that, but I remember the day my cousin, who's like 5 years younger than me, one of her friends at school saw that I was doing videos and told her, who told her mom, who told my mom. And my mom...
As if it was something bad or as if it was like...
No, well, I don't know how they said it. I wasn't there. Probably, honestly, they're probably like, wow, you guys need to call the doctor. We need to, put this kid in university, take away the camera. But I remember my mom came to me and she was like, I know what you're doing online. I saw your videos and I love the makeup. And that's all she said.
Wow.
So it was very supportive. And I just still kept it a secret. Like a lot of my friends at school didn't know. I had like one friend that would help me who's actually my co-host on my podcast now. Years and years and years later. Yeah, my literal longest friend ever. His name is Mark. We go by Gigi and Mimi.
Okay.
Yeah, so love him to death. And he would help me with videos. It wasn't like hush hush or anything, but we just wouldn't really talk about it. And once it kind of blew up, everyone knew.
Okay. Tell us about it
blowing up.
Everyone at school knew. I would get in trouble. It was ridiculous. So me and my friends would film like music videos. Like for example, back in the day. Anybody?
You were like TikToking before it was TikTok.
Right? Oh my God. And now TikTokers are like 12. No,
How old were you back when you were doing this?
Ooh, maybe like 16.
Okay.
Or like 15 even.
Yeah.
So I was a competitive diver, a professional, like on my way to the Olympics.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so I quit that. And I quit that 2 years before the Olympics. I was supposed to go and quit. And then I was kind of like got into my orientation and gender and all that. And I discovered YouTube. So I was very, very work oriented, right? So with diving, I would practice 3 hours a day, 6 nights a week, plus full-time school. So I was just always doing work, right? So I needed to put that creative outlet into something else. So yeah. Oh yeah. So I don't know when it happened, but there was this one time me and my friend filmed a music video and I had my shirt off in it. And my media teacher saw the video. It was to Ashanti's Only You. Do you guys remember that song?
It's a great song.
Isn't it? It reminds me of the Herbal Essences commercial because I think she did a deal with them. And I think so.
Oh my God.
And it was like, only you can make me feel. And it was about shampoo. So we made that. And my media teacher, she was like, you cannot be posting this online. Put me to the principal's office. It was just one of those things where it was like, this is my personal YouTube channel. Like that would never happen today.
No, because I mean, this was like, must have been like 2009, 2010 or?
Yeah, 2010 or like 11.
But if you think about it, I mean, at that point we were being asked at school, I mean, we were actually probably in college at that point, but it was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it was like doctors, lawyers, like plumbers, electricians. No one was saying YouTuber or blogger.
Oh my God, there's like
that
little,
was not on there. Now.
At like Walmart, there's like influencer kits.
I know.
Like
Wait, what? I did not know.
I've seen it online. It's like literally like little packets with like a tripod and like a camera. And it's like I want to be an influencer or like
I love that.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. I absolutely love it. It's such like you were saying, for creative kids who might not necessarily be thinking, I want to go the traditional route, to have that creative outlet, I just think that's incredible.
I also my mum was a teacher, and she was an art and dance teacher. And she always used to have this real challenge with the education system being so orientated around like maths, science, and English. And if you weren't good at those, you weren't smart. And I was lucky because I was, quotation marks, academic, but my brother wasn't. He just had like so much more common sense than I did. He was just really practical, but he was like labeled as not being smart. And I think that's the same. Like my mum, like she would say, I've got these kids who are phenomenal, like doing art, like she's like never seen before. Yeah, they're being told they're not smart because they're getting like a C or a D in English.
It's so ridiculous.
And it's like the education system, I don't know if it's changed or not, but it didn't nurture creativity or difference. Like you say, we were all in the same uniforms. We were the same. You were literally like mini clones of yourself. You were not allowed to express yourself at my school in any way, shape, or form. Even putting mascara on was not.
I went to
Really?
Catholic school too.
Okay, I would have died.
None of that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we used
No
to
nail
sneak on.
paint, nothing.
See, we didn't have skirts allowed in ours because we had like clear staircases.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would have been the only thing, but makeup was totally allowed. Yeah, I think they also need to teach self-love in schools. Like, I really do, because their mental health has made such a leap to the forefront of people's like brains because of the pandemic and just social media in general. And like even with them like taking away likes on Instagram if you want, or I don't really know how that is because some of my friends have likes on
So
Instagram.
you can just decide right now.
I don't.
You don't have one?
No.
Oh, did you have a Canadian account? Because they took them off for a while.
Oh,
I don't know if that was
maybe.
it.
Yeah,
Because Canada was like one of the trial countries where
Right.
they actually took all of them off. But then now in America, I think you can
It's back.
You can
That's
opt in or
good
out.
information.
Okay. Yeah, because things like that, I think they really need to teach people because they teach math, but that doesn't make you good at money. And they teach science, but that doesn't make everyone's brains work the same way. So it's like they really need to have a self-love course because it's just so important and that stays with you and it changes throughout your life,
Yeah.
Wait, but I need to go back. So the Ashanti, the shirt off, what happened? You blew up. I need to know.
So it wasn't at that point necessarily that everyone was like, oh my God, there's a YouTube channel you need to see. I think it was pretty gradual. And at the end of high school, actually, I did like this reality show with my friends and like some of like the football players, like I'd be like, bring a change of clothes after school, we're filming. So like they would literally like do that, skip practice, come film with us. And it was like me and my friend, just like these two little queer kids, like running the ship. So we weren't being bullied anymore. So that was good. But it was really dramatic when I ended up in the principal's office for a video that I made with my friend at a sleepover. So that was ridiculous. And my mom actually was really behind me with that. She was like, this is bullshit. You can't, like, no, do not take this video down. This is creative. This is like
extracurricular, nothing. to do with
exactly.
that.
Like this has nothing. I did not show this in school. I didn't hand this in as my project. And even if I did, who cares? I'll post it online later. Who cares? It's high school.
And
relax.
if only they foresaw what was coming.
Right.
As in like your whole brand now huge on YouTube.
Oh my God, Mrs. Coleman was her name, actually.
bet
Hey,
she-
Mrs.
Mrs.
Coleman.
Coleman's listening.
This YouTube is so dumb. It's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, she definitely knew something was coming, I feel. And she also I think she just was doing her job. She was scared that I would get in trouble or she would get in trouble, But yeah, she sent me to the principal's office a few times. I was a very bad kid.
So obviously a lot of people really look for the overnight success with social media and they're like, oh yeah, I've posted like 6 times. Why have I not got
I'm not
these
famous
followers?
yet.
Yeah, I'm not famous yet. I'm really interested, like how long were you posting, and I say posting or putting up videos like consistently before you really started seeing traction?
I would probably say like a year. Probably a year or like 2. Because it really was like a hobby for me. Like there was no money when I started in social media and YouTube. There was
Wasn't
none
even a
of that.
thing.
No, you couldn't monetize your channel. Like it really was like just strictly for fun. And I feel like doing anything in the long run, like the vets, the OGs, the billionaires out there, everybody doesn't do it for the money. They might do something really short term for the money, like, oh yeah, I'll do that real quick. But the long term, like their passion isn't to monetize, isn't to be rich. And I feel like a lot of the time I've seen that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, of course. You could be a millionaire if you just, make a hobby out of something and really go hard. But it really needs to be something that you love.
Yeah.
It needs to be something that you're passionate about. And I'm so passionate about change. I'm passionate about acceptance and really like pushing the narrative forward. It really has, like, I transitioned years ago, but this is something that will remain with me until the day that I die. Like, I feel like we have so long to go and it's never over. So I feel like you just need to really stay with it. Don't start it for the money. If you really want to do it, find something that is like a niche audience and something that you really feel like you're good at and you're passionate behind. And also, people don't, like, really successful people don't really feel like it's work. They feel like it's fun.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's really hard to find a job like that. I get it. I've worked everywhere. I worked literally at McDonald's for my first job. So I get it. You know, but you gotta really just find something that you find is fun.
So we have a lot of our audience are growing social platforms. That's why I'm asking quite a few questions on this piece. And so you were saying you were doing a lot of jobs at the time and you weren't like monetizing. When was it at the point where you were like, oh, I can actually monetize and make a career out of this?
Yeah, was
What
there
year
a
was
point
that?
when you realized it could actually be a job?
There was. So my first trip, I was in high school, my first trip to New York City. It was for Fashion Week. And I was just like, what is my life?
Like you got invited to Fashion
Got
Week?
invited,
Okay.
yes, was going to a ton of shows. I was working one, and it was one of those things where it was me and my manager, and I had like imposter syndrome for a really long time because I was like, I don't belong here. Like, I'm just a kid from the internet. Like, this is so crazy that I'm even allowed here. Meanwhile, I'm working it, getting paid to come, show up, post, all of those things that are so normalized now. It was not like that back then. So,
How old were you?
I don't remember, maybe like 17 or 18.
So you were young.
I was young, and it
Okay.
was Kendall Jenner's first show she walked in. And
Oh
I
my
remember
goodness.
being with her and being like, oh my God, I know her,
And
right?
they picked you up from social media?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So that was when, and that's when I met Amanda Lepore. So
Got it.
I was probably 18 when I met her, to
Got it.
backtrack, transition when I was 19. But yeah, so I felt like that time I was like, I'm really working right now at McDonald's, but doing this on the side. What I thought this was just going to be a really fun trip.
This is hilarious.
I know, 'cause this
You're
wouldn't
working
happen
at
nowadays,
McDonald's,
right?
And then you're getting invited to
Fashion
Oh,
Week.
Kendall Jenner, like,
Right.
do you know my side hustle?
Who's now like the #1 paid model in the
Yeah,
world.
wow.
Yeah, it's insane. So I feel like that was when I was like, I need to put all my energy into this because this is really fun. And I've always wanted to move to LA. Like, I would watch like The Hills growing up and just be like,
That's not-
That was why I moved too.
oh my God. I was like, well, I mean, is it anything that you thought it would be on that show?
No. But
Me either.
I didn't know it existed until I watched the show, and I remember being like, "Oh, I like this place. Palm trees. Okay, I'm gonna go."
Ledoux.
Yes.
Yeah, I really was like, I'm gonna be LC or
Yes.
Heidi Montag. Like, and then when I came for the first time for work, I came with my mom, and I think I was like 19 or 18, I don't even remember, but she and I were like, she was like, we got to take the bus, and I was like, I don't want to take the bus. I don't think
You didn't
celebrities
take
take
the
the bus. So it was like a very, very grounding experience. So that moment went away very fast, but it was like when I first started working that I was like, wow, like I'm doing what I love and I'm getting paid to do it. And then things just kind of picked up from there. But I just feel like for people that are really just getting started, you need to keep it fun. You need to keep it in your brand. Like, I feel like anybody will really do things for a quick buck here and there. It's like, hey, do you want to put your face on this? Hey, do you want to do this? It's like, not without even making sure it aligns with your brand,
Yeah.
like, or even really knowing their brand. It's like, oh yeah, I do makeup. I'm like this person. It's like, well, no, you need to really like know your stuff.
How do you think people do that?
I think by writing it down is a really good way to start. You know, writing down characteristics that you are, what you stand for, you know, products that you live by, or things that you want to see happen in the world. And also just trust your gut. Like, I feel like when you're approached with something, there is that reaction to the monetary value and of it all. And you're like, ooh, this could be good. But you know deep down in your gut if it's not. And I think that's really important for people because money fades, but like your dignity does not.
Yeah.
There's only so long that you have that. So I'd say hold on to that. But it's really important to just still have fun with everything. Like, even if it's maybe not the funnest thing that you're going to be doing, it's like, okay, I signed up for this
Yeah.
and this, you know, aligns with me. So let's go out there and kill it.
You have to, because the number one thing that's going to make you successful on social is consistency. And if you don't enjoy it, there's no way on earth you're going to be consistent. It's impossible.
This is very true.
And if you're not consistent with your values. And I think that's what's really influenced probably some of your success as well, is like you've been consistent with your values from the get-go.
Yeah.
You know, if you go back to even your early videos, you're like transparent and authentic right from the get-go, and I feel like you like lead with love. Like I feel like that really comes through in your videos and the stuff that you put out there. Like you have a big heart, and I think like that's part of your brand and what people see. And so I think like, you know, just like you were saying, I think things come and go, but if you don't have good foundational values, like you lose yourself in it. Like I think it's very easy as you get bigger to lose yourself if you don't like have those clear values of your brand and those foundations right at the beginning.
It's true. And I think a lot of people, speaking about LA, they move here because a lot of the opportunities are here, but then they really do lose themselves within it, you know, like all of the parties, all of the pulling you this way, pulling you that way. You really do kind of lose yourself over the years, you know, like you'll hear all the time online, like, oh, you've changed, or like, oh, whatever. And sometimes I'm like, fuck that. Of course I've changed. It's been years. But a lot of the time it's like, ooh, like that person has changed, you know, like for the worse. And it's sad, but it's true. I mean, it's like the entertainment industry at the end of the day. It's like we could be just doing YouTube videos, but like it is basically like we're like movie stars because we're all on camera.
But influencers are the new movie stars. They are the new celebrities. It's changed so much, hasn't it? Just thinking about when you started, could you ever have imagined the world would look like this?
I mean, I had wished that it would, because every time I went like anywhere, it was like, what do you do? And I was like, I don't even know what I do. Like, I'm online. Yeah, they're like, are you a cam girl? I'm like, no, I don't do that, but pretty much everything else.
That is hilarious. No, like you would never say I'm a YouTuber.
Or like an influencer.
Yeah.
People wouldn't believe you. They'd be like, oh, no.
What does that mean? What do you think now about the people that say, oh, YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, it's too saturated, there's not space?
Oh, I feel like there's always space. I mean, I know it's extremely saturated, the beauty space, the sports, the gaming, the everything. It's all just a lot. But it is really, you will find an audience out there. You know, you just will. Like, you're not like anybody else. Like, I think that your best feature is being yourself because you're unique. And it's like, no one else is a Gigi Gorgeous. No one else is a BossBabe. Like, no one else really does what you do. Yeah. Could be similar, but the best thing that I always think of is like, if you're helping people, does it really matter? Like, you could want to grow your channel. You could want to grow everything to the highest anything. And that's a great goal. Like, of course, you know, but just know if you don't reach your goal that day, that week, that month, whatever, you're still really helping people and you're still like putting out that content, making people laugh or inspiring them, whatever. I think it's just really nice just to know that like you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah, we always talk about the positive ripple effect. Like if we can just influence one person positively a day, and then perhaps that then means that, well, they feel a bit better about what they're doing that day, or we've like cheered them up and then they pass it on to somebody else. Like, you know, if we're all there like putting more positivity out in the world, and I think there is a need for everyone to be responsible. I'm not saying it's easy to show up like with a smile on your face every day. It's fucking not.
Right.
But if we all take responsibility for our emotions at time and really be like careful like how we're interacting, what we're putting out there, like that then changes how that person interacts with the next person. Because we all know if someone's like sending us hate or like being mean to us, or, and I mean, talking about like just people who you're in relationships with or rooms, whatever, like that, like you can push you in a bad mood because someone else you're around is in a bad mood. Like, so I think just like this, that's what we always try and do with our content. And, you know, like that's why sometimes we started this conversation. Like sometimes the highlight reel is nice in the sense of like, yeah, it can help spread positivity, but we also just want to remember like, that's not what life is like always.
Right.
It's just remembering that, but still trying to be like, okay, I want to be responsible for my feelings and I want to make the world a better place.
Yeah, and especially with influencers nowadays, or, you know, entrepreneurs in general, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Oh, 1,000%.
You know? So you need to stay positive. Like you were saying, it's like, you are your own boss at the end of the day. I mean, you may have a manager, an agent, whatever above you or helping you, but there is nobody above you, right? Like you are your brand. So it is really all about staying consistent, having a great work ethic, and just being your brand. No one else is your brand but you. No one else is gonna believe it as much as you do. So you better put on that face and believe it.
Yeah, and so speaking of your brand, you're now a podcaster.
Yes.
How are you loving it?
Oh, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty new. I think we have like 15 episodes out right now, but we upload every Wednesday.
Okay.
And the whole premise behind the podcast.
You can so tell that you're a YouTuber. You're like, we upload every Wednesday. I'm consistent.
I know.
I'm gonna be there.
It's like cringeworthy, I know, but
I know, I love it.
I mean, I want to know if anybody's
we
listening.
actually should share that because we never tell people when we upload.
I mean, but
Tuesdays.
if they subscribe, right, they get notifications to their phone.
Yeah, but it's just
but
the way
it's
you
good.
said it. I'm like, oh, it's not. I need
You're like,
marketing.
she's definitely a
She's done it
YouTuber.
before.
Yeah, exactly.
Professional.
Well, I really wanted to create a safe space where people could really just speak their truth, right? And we tackle everything within the community. It's called Queerified, for
Okay.
God's sakes.
I love
So
it.
when you listen, you really get queerified. You feel like you leave a little bit more knowledgeable. You've learned something that you really never really thought you would from a podcast. But also it's kind of that kiki. Do you guys know what kikiing is?
No.
Okay, I'm like, okay, you guys taught me a British term. I'll teach you an American one, I guess. Okay, so kikiing is like when you're with your girlfriends, just having a cocktail and just like talking, gossiping.
Okay.
Oh.
Kiki.
So you're kikiing.
Kikiing.
K-I-K-I.
I like that.
I
So
did
it's
not know that.
it's very much a kiki. Like when you have like we're kikiing right now.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so it's very much that, and we answer questions. We have a hotline, 1-844-QUERIES, and we take questions at the end of each podcast. So it's been really fun. I mean, I love to talk, as you guys probably found out today. And I always got in trouble for talking too much in school, so it's always been a problem.
It came full circle.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this voice, honey. I was gonna say bitch.
You can say
I know.
So what's been your favorite interview so far and why?
Well, we recently had Paris Hilton on. And
Casual.
And I mean, so not casual. I have this set up in my house, and she was the first person to come and record there. And she was just so great. I've loved her since The Simple Life.
Yeah.
And she just is such a professional. She literally goes for this whole conversation we've said, you know, she knows her brand. She knows who she is. She knew who she was years ago.
She is so smart.
When she started this whole influencer thing.
She basically started the industry.
Right. So she knew who she was. It's not stubborn, it's smart. Like it's so true. And like I just look up to her so much, and like to call her a friend now is just beautiful. Like she's just so much fun, and she's just real. And I know, we all know in this town it can be really crazy with people and their two-facedness and just all the nastiness, but that was definitely like a dream come true. And I know it's like maybe not the coolest thing to fangirl over your friends.
That is very cool.
Well, to people, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, my friend. But it's like, no, I'm a fan of so many people.
I fangirl over so many of my friends. We do it all the time. We're
That's like a
ridiculous.
beautiful thing. Like I will never lose that, and I
No.
love hearing that.
I'm
my
like, I'm the worst as well. I'm like, oh my god.
I
Yeah, I'm
know.
like, can we have a photo now?
Are you manifesting any kind of guests? Like anyone that would be your ideal dream guest
Ooh,
that
that
we
was
can
a
put
great
out into the
question.
universe?
Okay, I definitely have a list.
Okay.
But I am a manifester, but like a silent one,
Oh,
because
okay, got it.
I'm scared that it'll get jinxed.
Oh, okay.
You guys
Got
aren't
it.
like that?
No.
No.
You just say it.
Say everything.
I literally declared that I wanted to be Ellen DeGeneres earlier.
Yeah, on a podcast, she was like, I'm going to get into TV. Like, great.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my god, let's just put it out there.
Right. Well, she's stepping down.
Well,
Right?
Space
maybe a
for
little
you,
bit
Auntie.
early for me. Give me a little bit
You're
more
like,
time.
let's go through the ages of us.
Yeah.
Like, how far apart are we? That's very
Well,
true.
no, but also like, I feel like I need a little bit more experience.
You need to actually
you know.
be on TV once.
Right.
To start.
Right. Well, you
start
guys
with love.
talk. I mean, I feel like
How
it's
hard can it be?
right. I mean, I really do believe in manifesting. I'm not like much of a spiritual person, like I said, but I feel like it does work.
It
Oh,
does.
100%.
Like the more you think it.
I feel like there's two parts to it as well. There's like manifesting in the sense of like, I don't believe that you just say it and you close your eyes and then it happens. But I feel like if you say it, you then start looking out for the opportunity and you think differently. Or you say it and then someone else might have a conversation. Or in your case, you can write in your book. But, you know, like, whatever. I feel like sometimes it's just like you look for things. And, well, if I want to make this happen, you're subconsciously like, how can I make this happen?
Right, and it's also like the law of attraction too.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I feel like that was like the craziest thing to me when I heard that. I was like, oh my God, like that book, The Secret.
That was my intro to that.
I really
So good.
feel like that was like one of the craziest things, but it really does make sense. Like the more you say it, the more you look out for it, and the more like things just start happening that you're like, oh my God, like what? I've been so, thinking about that, or like that's been so apparent in my brain.
Have you read Joe Dispenza's work?
No.
Oh, he like really breaks down like the science as well of like laws of attraction, and talks about like frequencies, and kind of a little bit like The Secret touches on it as well, but it's like another level around quantum physics. But
Oh
it's,
my
like,
God, talk
it
about
really-
Oh my God, you'd be
school.
upset.
I would.
No, you really will. And it's like, it's so interesting around like vibrations, and I think we're really naive to think that everything we see is only what exists. And when you start letting go around like, oh well, actually there's like, even like infrared lights. If you start even thinking about the different lights, or even the fact that you can have a whistle that a dog can hear but humans can't hear, once you start opening up to that, I feel like everyone's like, oh, hang on a minute.
Like anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
And oh my God, I heard that we only use like 5% of our brain or something.
Yeah.
Is it
I
10%?
don't know, did you get that off the film Limitless? Because I felt like I got it from
Maybe.
don't
Or like
know.
Inception or
It is a
something.
certain percent.
Oh my God, it is Limitless, I think.
Yeah, because they take the drug for it.
Yes, and oh my God, there was one with Scarlett Johansson, Lucy, I think.
Oh, I'm not
She's
Yes.
unlocking
Yes.
percents of her brain.
Yep.
That is crazy.
I
Because
love
it's
that
true,
movie.
and she's like moving shit with her like brain. And it's like,
I
could
think
we
that
do
will
that?
Be us. I think that will be us sooner than we think.
That's so scary, but so everything.
I bet in 20 years' time, we'll be there.
Hey, this has turned into a Joe Rogan podcast.
I know. Oh my,
Oh my God, it has. Any other conspiracies you want to talk about?
Oh my
I know,
goodness.
Joe, we're coming after. I'll be the new Joe, you be the new Ellen.
Please.
Done.
And I'll come on both your shows. I'm manifesting that.
Deal.
Oh my goodness. Gigi, you have been the best guest. This has been such a fun interview. I have one last question before we round out.
For sure.
We are obsessed with morning routines.
Okay.
Do you have one? And if you do, share it. That's me.
I do. Okay, I actually really do. So I get up pretty much every single day before my husband. I go downstairs, get
What
some
time?
Starbucks. Oh God, I'm so bad. Probably like 9 or 10.
That's fine.
I don't
Well,
like
have
work out or
working hours,
anything.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I sleep until like noon. It's very bad.
What time do you go to bed?
Depends. If I'm out like really late.
Yeah.
But probably like midnight.
Okay.
I mean, I've been watching a lot of like Squid Game recently.
I've not seen that.
Oh my God, you have to watch it.
I did one episode and I was like,
Oh, it only gets good after like 2. Yeah. Hello.
okay, we're getting
Miss
thumbs
Producer
up.
knows what's up.
Yeah, we're getting thumbs up in the studio.
It's so good.
Okay.
It's so good. Yeah. So I've been watching a lot of that. I mean, okay, so when I wake up, whenever I wake up, I mean, if I have a job or anything, it's probably very early because I need to glam. Let's be real. You guys know how that is. I go downstairs, coffee first thing, and feed my cats, and then shower. Is that kind of the morning routine you wanted?
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
so basic.
No, I love it. When
So
you
it
shower
starts
and
the
get
day.
on with the day.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you look at your phone straight away or no?
I do. I feel like, honestly though, do you guys feel like when you wake up and you see like so many text messages and emails and all that, you just sit in bed and you have to play catch up? Like if someone's up earlier than you,
Yeah.
they've sent you something, or this email thread that you're
Oh my
late
days.
to.
So I used to be on British time. I was 8
Oh,
hours ahead of Natalie.
In the early days
In
of
the
our
early days of
relationship.
BossBabe. So she was in LA, I was in the UK. Then she persuaded me to move to LA. I was not someone that ever wanted to live in LA, but I'm
Okay.
glad I moved. She spent a year here, then she freaking left to Austin, left me.
So 3 hours. 3
Yeah,
hours
so now
difference?
she's ahead of me.
Two, yeah.
2.
So I wake
it's
up
two.
and I'm like, oh.
You think
goodness.
it's 2? I'm dying.
It's two. So
That
I
is
wake
so
up,
bad.
And then I'm feeling unproductive because she's already sent me a mountain of Voxers or Slacks or emails, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much to do. So I've been trying to battle it by putting my workouts in now, and I go to Orange Theory, and I used to go to the gym, and then I'd be on my phone trying
That's
to
your
like.
thing now.
Oh,
It's
so
really
you
guilty.
can't multitask when you're at the gym. You have to really go in.
At
That's what my
Orange
friends
Theory- at
say.
Orange Theory, you can barely breathe, let alone multitask.
Right.
They work you hard.
Right.
I think I'm built for that.
And then you'll just get to it after, because then you're not
Yeah.
really working out if you're on
So
your
I've
phone.
had to- yeah.
That's what I do, because everything can wait. Like unless something is very time sensitive, of course, get to it. But I just really noticed, like, I don't want to sit in bed and play catch up. I want to just like wake up first a little bit.
Yeah.
And then really get into it when I'm like really alert and like able to like, when I want to get into it. You know, so like maybe 30 minutes after I wake up, just like
Give yourself
easy.
a little bit of time.
Yeah, because like and then I'll just sit in bed all day, and
it's endless.
it feels like all day when it's only like an hour, but yeah, I hate that feeling.
I love it. Well, listen, I know there's going to be so many of our listeners going, how can I get more Gigi in my life?
Yes.
So can you share your handles, the podcast, like all the things? Just give them everything. We'll link it below as well.
Okay. I'm Gigi Gorgeous off of everything except Twitter. I am the Gigi Gorgeous.
What? Someone took Gigi?
Someone took, a while ago.
Rude.
I'm not that active on Twitter, I will say, but I do go on once in a while. And my podcast is called Queerified with Gigi Gorgeous and Mimi. And you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. And that's what I'm working on right now.
Thank you, Gigi.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, girls.